After suffering one of the beatdowns of the decade in the final moments of last week's episode, Hannibal limps away from battle as he narrowly escaped a pursuing Jack Crawford. The police arrived on the scene to inspect Patsy's murder, but they weren't the only one. Will found his way back to Jack as they reunited their alliance and quest to catch Hannibal. The problem for Jack was that he still couldn't be sure what Will was going to do in the moment if they did find Hannibal. Would he kill him, catch him, or even escape with him? All of them were viable options. And whilst their alliance was united, Hannibal found his way back to Bedelia, and after licking his wounds, Bedelia told him it was time for them to say goodbye. She knew that originally Hannibal never had any intention of letting her leave on her own accord. She knew that he intended to savour that specific meal. But things have changed now. They both knew the murder of Patsy would lead the police back to their home, and if the rest of the police department was anything like Patsy, a $3 million bounty was sure to tempt them as well. Elsewhere, we check back in with Mason as he continued along the hunt to find his prize. He was well aware by now that Patsy had been murdered, and that if he didn't act fast, something was sure to trace back to Mason himself. We also watched Cordell serve him up some pre-Hannibal meals. He's anticipating Hannibal to be caught, and if he is, none of us are gonna like what Mason has in store for him. So with the police, Jack, Will, and Mason all looking for Hannibal, who was gonna find him first? Welcome to the top 5 moments of the episode, followed by the overall verdict.
Will you slip away with him?
Part of me will always want to.
You have to cut that part out.
After reuniting at the scene of Patsy's death, Jack and Will begin to discuss the best way into finding Hannibal. Letting the police know about Dr. Fell's true identity would only complicate matters, and could easily lead to Hannibal escaping. So for now, they both decided that the local police were on a need-to-know basis.
Why didn't you kill him?
Maybe I need you to.
It's only fair to talk about what Margot wants. Come sit on Santa's lap, huh?
After Margot successfully bought the rest of the police department in Florence to keep them from tracing anything back to the Vergers, he decides that she deserves a bit of a reward for working so hard for him. But there was only one thing that Margot wanted, and Mason took that ability from her long ago.
I wish I could give you a Verger baby, our own baby, yours and mine.
Oh, it's Jim. Why don't you push me off a train? Hannibal?
The much anticipated reunion between Hannibal and Will finally came to pass as Will found Hannibal creating another drawing for his memory palace. And as they both left the museum together, Chio was at the Overwatch up ahead. But she wasn't alone. She had her trusty sniper rifle along with her. And the question was, who was she aiming for?
It's under the table, Jack.
After Hannibal took the bullet out of Will's shoulder, Will awakens to find himself sedated and strapped to a chair. He notices there's still one seat left at the table, and after Jack was lured to exactly where Hannibal wanted him, Jack received the exact treatment that Will did, as all the guests had arrived and the table was set.
Stop.
Well, it looks like Mason has got his prize. As we end the episode on a small jump ahead, we see Hannibal and Will strung up together. Just in the nick of time for Will, maybe, but I doubt either man is going to like what Mason has in store.
Gentlemen, welcome to Muskrat Farm.
My overall verdict for this week's episode of Hannibal is a 9 out of 10. Hannibal continues to be one of the most fascinating, brilliant and most thrilling spectacles on TV. Last week was one of the best episodes in the whole show, which ended on a stunning, final, heavy-hitting 15 minutes. This week had a much different feel. We knew it was only a matter of time before Will and Hannibal crossed paths once again, but with so many different variables also on the trail, you were never too sure who would find the good doctor first. Fans have been anticipating the reunion between the pair all season long, so this episode definitely succeeded in giving the fans exactly what they wanted. Mads and Hugh have always played brilliantly off one another and are easily some of the best actors of our generation, so to have them finally be reunited certainly adds that extra special feel to the occasion. Following on from a quiet and calm conversation together, Will then led Hannibal out from the museum, and just as Will began to draw his knife, bang! Chio continued to be as protective as she's always been, immobilising Will by shooting him in the shoulder, which then allowed Hannibal to carry his friend away. Now I've got to admit, I'd seen a promo which showed us a brief glimpse of Hannibal sawing into Will's head towards the end there. My instant thought was, nah, that's gotta be a dream or a vision, but boy was I wrong. No, that scene actually took place. After being sedated and strapped to a chair and luring Jack to the same place just so he could watch, Hannibal began to literally get inside Will's head. I also thought that scene was a nice little throwback to the Hannibal film, as if you remember towards the end of the Hannibal film, Hannibal saws open one of the guy's heads and feeds him part of his brain. Thankfully, didn't go that far in the show. No, Will's just going to have a massive scar on the front of his head. Now let's talk Bedelia for a moment. She probably had her most prominent episode to date, even more so than the premiere. Gillian Anderson's performance was as gripping as it always is, as we began to see that she had a plan of her own. She called Hannibal out on him eating it, which was quite amusing, but as events unfolded, Hannibal agreed to help tell any form of story that Bedelia wished. In truth, it was a damn smart plan. To say that Hannibal was using the same coercive methods as he was using on Miriam Lass does to an extent make it believable. Admittedly, Will and Jack rightly don't buy into any of it, but she is not their main concern. This may be the last of Bedelia we see for a few episodes, I'm not sure yet, but either way, I'm certain that if we don't see her for a while, she will definitely crop up again sometime in the near future. Now then, that ending. Just as we were watching the shocking scene as blood poured and Hannibal sawed into Will's head, we cut ahead to see Hannibal and Will strung up and caught. Now Mason has always had evil plans for what he wanted to do with Hannibal, but where does Will fit into it? Is Mason just going to discard him? Or is Will going to go through the same torture that Hannibal awaits? We know for a fact that Mason isn't going to let him go. Not a chance. My bet is that Alana will not be happy at seeing Will along for the ride. She only ever wanted revenge for what Hannibal did to her. She won't want any more harm to come to Will. So the question is, will we see a clash between Mason and Alana about what to do with Will? And don't forget about Margot. She could still have a key part to play. One thing is for certain. We have one final episode left to finish off this story arc before we head into the Red Dragon. Does that mean, on episode 33 of the Hannibal Lecter story, Hannibal's time as a free man is going to come to an end? Continue the support for Hannibal in any way you can in hope that the show will get picked up by another outlet. Check out my other video, which is linked in the description, for other ways that you could help save Hannibal. We all want the show to continue and know that it would be an absolute travesty if that wasn't the case. So hopefully if enough of us band together, our voices will be heard and someone will save Hannibal. Thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed the review, and I'll see you next week.